I salute you, my dear friends. Many blessings. Welcome to the Bow Tie Chronicles. Enjoy. Good day, Bow Tie Nation. I salute you. Today is finally here. I want to welcome you to Bow Tie Chronicles. This is officially launch day. I really want to kind of outline the kind of process and kind of the why of this particular project and kind of really articulate the journey because the journey was really not just 2 weeks. Really, the journey was close to 30 years in making of how we've gotten to this point and kind of really just really be very authentic um, because this is really, for me, the power is in the story and the power is in the process. And so I want to take this time to use this as a launch video to kind of tell you the why and how we got here. And so Bow Tie Chronicles is actually launching today, October 15th, uh, 2024. And the term Bow Tie Chronicle actually came in part because I like bow ties and it's not about the apparel of bow tie. It's really about the mindset. Because I wear a bow tie in part because of when I was a young man and a youth growing up in Georgia. I spent a lot of time with my grandfather. And my grandfather always told me when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you do good. And when you do good, you become something that is good to this world. And so that became a mantra that I've carried with me throughout life and through this world. And so he always had on a necktie. And when he wanted to make an impression, usually if it was, the weekly date night with my grandmother and or he was going to church services or he was going to any type of event, he always had on a bow tie. And he tied his bow tie, so taught me how to tie the bow tie to make it look like a regular tie. And so I actually have two types of bow ties. I have the pre-tied and the regular bow tie, in part because I'm a working professional, and so this is not something that I do. As you know, this is something that I'm just really starting as a passion project. You're going to see all the videos of really how this was just an initiative, impetus that began really 2 weeks ago, and and I just wanted to just see if I can pull this off. And so that's kind of how the name initially began, and kind of how we got into, or how I got into um, this particular project was literally a couple weeks ago. I was at work and we were in discussions. We were in a group setting and we were discussing at this particular place I'm working budgets. And I realized that, I'm sitting here and the vast majority of people, actually no one here, realize of how literate I am as it relates to finance. I'm known across the country as within my profession. I'm actually have received the top awards within my profession as an educator and been featured nationally and considered to be a content expert in several fields of my profession. But as an educator, and we're having budget discussions, and we're in the middle of crisis, and no one has thought to look and say, hey, kind of just walk us through this, and it's kind of like life. And so I began to say, that's kind of how I kind of got into financial literacy and financial awareness in part because people are in the midst of crisis, and they're in the midst of concern, or they're in the midst of chaos, and they don't know where to turn. And so, you know, my partner, my wife, and I have for years, at least 20 years, done financial awareness, financial aid, financial literacy workshops, either for civic organizations, fraternity and sororities, nonprofit organizations, church organizations. We have just done this just kind of just free of charge, in part because we wanted to impart wisdom and knowledge with various communities. It was just part of our civic duty and part of our ability to give back. We were very fortunate, and it was really what made us strong. I mean, we've been married close to close to 30 years. And so let me kind of really tell you a story of how this began. Literally three, um, 3 months into our marriage, my wife had a notebook, and because her practice and profession is she's an engineer. She's extremely smart. You may cannot tell I'm married up in intellect and beauty. She's extremely smart, but she's very analytical. And so everything has to be captured step by step. And so she has a budget, coming into a marriage. She had our budget laid out, and our budget was laid out on in a notebook. And she had the first 6 months laid out, and it was on 6 lines. That show you how much of a budget we have. It's just 6 lines. Utilities, um, um, our car notes, just 6 lines. And we have individual budgets, and um, we also have a family budget. And I had spent some money out of the family budget, and literally it was just a mistake because we have credit cards at that point in time, debit cards, and literally I told her, I said, well, I didn't keep the receipt, and it was like $5, and literally it was $5.16. And when she reconciled the account, I mean, she was angry. It was like 3 weeks later. She says, "You told me it was $5. It's $5.16. And don't ever make that mistake again because every cent matters." And I began to say, whoa, we've literally been married about a month now. We're in our second month of marriage, and that 16 cent really matters to her. Now, here we are, both with master's degrees. Well, I have a master's degree, and she's a practicing professional, and 16 cent really matters. That really spoke to me, the importance of understanding value and understanding relevance. And I later realized why it mattered to her, because she was a person who had, experienced bad credit, and she had got a credit, to a point where she understood how to manage money. And so every penny mattered to her as she was going through that process. Remember, it's important to understand the power of the process. Oftentimes we want the product, but it's important to understand the power of the process. And so from that standpoint, we actually sat down and had a conversation. Says, okay, let's just lay out our budget. It was the early days of spreadsheets. So we actually laid out a spreadsheet and capture our budget, and began to, that was the initial beginning of how we became financial literate, began to have spreadsheets and budget. And of course, we've automated those things now. And, we have a process. But when people find out about this, that we've done this, our friends and family members, they've asked us, hey, do this for us. And so we've done it for them. And then they've gone to their church groups and say, hey, have you talked to them? Hey, can you come and do this for us? Our parents have asked them to do it for their churches and civic organizations and fraternities and sororities. And so, I mean, we've done this thousands of times, just this financial literacy and budget management and understanding FICA, and, just credit scores and understanding revolving debt and how that affects, and, just all these things. What we didn't understand is, how many marriages and how many relationships it either repaired or saved. And that was just something that was relevant for us. And we didn't understand how that would have cascading effects, really just, over time. And now that we've gotten to a point where, both of our kids have graduated college, and they're doing extremely well in their chosen professions. I'm pretty sure that as, we evolve this channel and, they get more and more there, they begin to connect and tell their story. We taught them, these principles, and they live these principles, because it's embedded, into who they are, their ethos as an individual. It is baked into their core fabric, as people. But at the age of 12, the moment they got their first alliance allowance. Excuse me. For some reason, I am having a dry mouth, and so my southern tongue is beginning to dry out. So let me articulate a little bit better. And just like this channel, we're going to keep the rawness here, in part because kind of like your finances, you're going to hit some rough spots and things are going to be dry a bit. And so, you just need to take some time and, tend to that particular situation. So, we're not going to cut this out. I want to make sure you kind of just see kind of, me working through this particular difficult situation because that's how this journey is going to be. It's not going to be smooth all the time. It's not going to be easy all the time. It's going to be a process. And we want to be as authentic as possible. And so at the age of 12, one of the lessons that our kids have to learn in order to get the allowance is the rule of 72. And the rule of 72 is the concept and principle of compound interest. Oftentimes we hear about compound interest in relations to credit cards, but we wanted them to understand it from the perspective of how to build wealth. Because for us, we were breaking the cycle of poverty off our family, and we wanted them to understand how to continue the wealth that we were building for the generations to come. And, I know for me, as a first generation college student, I was building wealth not just for my grandkids, but for my great grandkids. And, we have put things in place, not just for our grandkids, but, for our great grandkids. And so if we perpetuate that, we know that for the next, 100 years or so, if the world is still there, that our generations of our lineage will be taken care of, and they have these principles. And so, really, Bow Tie Chronicles is really an awareness channel to really allow us to have a platform to educate individuals, ordinary individuals, not to have to pay for a product or to pay for information, just for us to digest and just to share this information with you. And like I said, at the meeting, I was just sitting there and it was just like, I have a wealth of information. I know I don't have chief financial officer in my title, but I also realized that we are very, very reserved and modest in what we talk about. Our close friends say people actually knew how you all live, how modest you live. I mean, we live a very good life, and most would say that we live very comfortable, but we live very modest in the amount of income that we have come in and revenue we have come in versus what we project. In part because we're building for generations, and so um, I just say that to say that, we want to begin to impart some of this information and share this information with you. This channel is just a platform, whether you're joining us or subscribing to this channel, or you join us on social media or our website. I'll put my personal website, which I'll be doing blogs so that you can kind of do the step-by-step guides to understand information. We just want to make sure that you have information so that you can be able to enhance your standard of living and increase just the quality of life that you desire. And it's kind of like the bow tie because we want to make sure that you feel better and that you become the best version of yourself possible. So that's really the premise behind the channel. That's kind of like the journey. It began over 16 cents, and we became financial literate, and we began to promote financial awareness and social mobility, and we began to educate ourselves, and then we began to share that with others, and then that became a lifestyle that we have embedded within the culture and values of our family structure. And it has become an ecosystem. And we just realized that with this ecosystem, we want to begin to share that with others. And so um, that's the premise behind this platform and why we built it, and kind of the premise behind the name, the Bow Tie Chronicles. It is up on our family structure, and so if you see Three Cat LLC, that is really our family structure. At some point in time, we'll kind of tell you the definition of Three Cat. So if you see Three Cat, associated with either our production or 3Cat LLC. That is really our family structure, and Bow Tie Chronicles and other things fall up under that. So that is our journey. That's kind of the why behind everything, and kind of give you a better chance of introducing myself, and kind of the story behind what started, actually this 2 week journey. And so now begin to enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe, and go on and read my blog, and get information on our both websites, and look at the links, follow us on social media. We're going to continue to have information out there. If there's something that you would like for us to research and pull together, and the us is my wife and I, because people oftentimes say, okay, who's the us? It's a team of 2 of us. We're the tandem. We are 2 that has become 1. And so I do a lot of the public face, kind of the public persona, and a lot of the research, because I'm a scholar practitioner in my profession, and because she's the analytical tacticianer, she does a lot of the content management, construction of videos, kind of curating. And so you kind of see her work behind the scenes as she learns how to do videos and structure them and layer them, and you kind of see how she learns how to do voiceover and to put them on different platforms. And so collectively, you'll see the end product. And we're going to try to be as authentic as possible. And you're going to see the flaws, because we want you to grow together. And technically, we've kind of named this Bow Tie Nation, because we want to build kind of a movement of awareness. Uh, but if you want to come up with a name, let us know. Drop it in the chat. Reach out to us. Send us an email. If there's things you would like for us to know, if you would like things that you'd like to us to come share with your particular community and so forth, just reach out to us. Again, keep in mind, we are working professionals. We actually do this work for me. I do it either, an hour or 2 before I go to work. And then when I get off from work, I come home and work a couple of hours or on the weekend. And so for her, it's kind of the same. And so, but we want to make sure that you understand kind of the premise behind how we came up with the Bow Tie Chronicles and why we want to share it with you. All right, take care and be blessed.